This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, February 10th, 2026. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. Political candidate in Minnesota drops out of race after family tragedy. Political candidate in Florida targeted in arson attack. 2 arrests made following cash van heist in Italy. Surveillance footage released regarding high-profile kidnapping case in Arizona. Beginning with international events, in Italy, 2 arrests have been made in conjunction with Monday's cash van heist on State Road 613. Details of the arrests have not been made public as 4 other thieves are being sought as the investigation continues. Analysts comment. Otherwise, the investigation into the explosive devices planted on Italian rail lines has continued, with an anarchist group claiming credit for the devices and posting about the targeting efforts on their blog. In Russia, several arrests have been made in conjunction with the recent assassination attempt of a Kremlin intel chief, which resulted in Lieutenant General Vladimir Alexeyev being shot multiple times at his apartment last week. So far, 2 suspects, a father and son team, have been arrested, along with another suspect who was detained in the UAE over the weekend. On the home front in Minnesota, Jeff Johnson, a candidate in the race for governor of the state, has suspended his campaign after a personal family tragedy took place over the weekend. Johnson's daughter, Haley Tobler, was murdered by her husband on Saturday night in their apartment in St. Cloud. Due to this extremely brutal murder, her father has suspended his campaign. Analysts comment. Right now, it's not clear as to if this brutal murder had anything to do with targeting Johnson's campaign. After all, this could be a horrific example of domestic incidents that are far too common throughout the United States. However, this is still a sensitive political issue to be aware of, considering the overall tensions throughout the state. In Florida, over the weekend, a separate gubernatorial candidate was targeted more directly as the lawn outside James Fishback's home was set on fire by an arsonist. The fire was allegedly set when Fishback was not at his residence and was discovered as he returned home. So far, no suspects have been identified regarding this case. Analyst comments for this wire. In Arizona, the FBI has released surveillance footage regarding the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, who was reported missing after being dropped off at her home on the evening of January 31st. The FBI has released video footage and still images of the suspected abductor and are requesting the public's help in identifying the suspect. This footage was recovered from the Nest security camera at the residence, which was allegedly unavailable during the initial phases of the investigation due to the Guthrie family not buying a subscription plan for this particular device. However, due to Nest and other similar Wi-Fi camera companies partnering with law enforcement to provide federal access to all cameras, this imagery was recoverable since this footage is being stored in a database somewhere, regardless of whether or not a customer is paying or even knowledgeable of this storage. Concerning other surveillance footage which might have captured the suspect, the Catalina Foothills community is a spiderweb of surface roads which appear at first to offer unlimited avenues for insertion and extraction to the target residence. However, following the roads in an outward spoke search pattern originating at the site of the kidnapping reveals that nearly all of these roads intersect with a main highway, which at some point intersects with a traffic camera or storefront security cameras. Of course, a malign actor only needs one route to pull off a crime, so nearly all is not good enough for investigative purposes. But this does help narrow down the potential escape routes for the criminal if it is assessed that the suspect and the victim actually left the community at all. Federal authorities have already demonstrated that they can pull footage from cameras that don't have a subscription package, and most of the roads that offer good escape paths transit directly in front of residences that actually have personally owned security cameras. As such, it's highly unlikely that the assailant simply disappeared into the night without a trace. Someone somewhere has the suspect, and probably the victim too, on camera, and federal authorities almost certainly already have this footage. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, February 10th, 2026.